Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Days of Our Lives, April 3rd, 2025. So we start off with the main event, which was, EJ's rise and fall, right? There's a lot to catch up in this episode, so let's get into it. So EJ is there gloating to his father's portrait about how he won and he's not gonna pay for any crimes that he committed recently. And he was talking about Ava, how, Ava must be mad that, he's walking away from his involvement in her kidnapping, right? So at some point he sits down with his glass and somebody, takes a shot at him literally. And he before that he was saying, you don't want to do this, what are you doing here? So he got shot and he fell down and the glass broke, right? So at some point later on, we don't see who did it, right? Because I guess, that is to create suspense, keep us guessing as to who it could be. So Chad comes in because remember EJ sent him a very, pissed off voice note about how he could, do him like that in the article, right? Paint him a bad picture himself, right? So Chad comes in, wanted to talk to him about it, and he comes in and he sees EJ on the floor and he's like, EJ, can you hear me? So EJ at this point is unresponsive. He's bleeding profusely. So he calls the ambulance and says that, they need to come over to the house. My brother has been shot, so I need, immediate attention and all that, right? So Kayla and Kat are having a discussion about the fundraiser, and she has her files ready. And Kayla is the head staff of the hospital, and she's happy that Kat is getting involved in the fundraiser because this would definitely be good for everybody who works there in the hospital and all that, right? So she asks her if she's in it for the right reason, or is it that she wants to get closer to Chad. And she said, no, it's not about that. That is strictly professional. I'm in it because of what the hospital did for my sister and my brother. My sister had open heart surgery back in the day, and I was thankful for all the people who have helped her to get where she is today. So I'm just doing my part to help the hospital, the community. So Kayla's happy to hear that because, of course, she talked about her daughter Stephanie and Chad being together and did the workout because of his, he still was not over Abigail and all that. So she was just making sure, right? So she said she had some time, so she would look over the file and everything. And before she could even get into it, she gets a notification that there's been a gunshot wound and all that. So she had to leave, right? So Kat is just there standing, and Chad comes in with a blooded cloth, and Kat is saying, "Are you okay? What happened?" So he said, "My brother just got shot." So she's like, "Where is he? Is he okay?" So he said he doesn't really know because he rode him to the hospital, but they took him in for emergency surgery, so he doesn't know what's going on. And he's wondering if he, she's asking if she can do anything, if she can call any relatives for him, and he said, that's his job to do. And he will go ahead and do it, but he's saying that it's gonna be complicated because half of them would be rejoicing and maybe the other half would be sorry. So he just is having I guess flashbacks of when he found Abigail lying in a pool of blood years ago, and just that happening again. So it's a lot for him to handle. So at some point JJ comes in because JJ at this point knows what's going on with the shooting, and he's just here at the hospital to do his investigation. He was also at the Hernandez place, and Gabby and Rafe were nowhere to be found, so that's also suspicious. He tried reaching through to Gabby because he wanted to hang out with her, but he wasn't getting through, so that's also a cause for suspicion. So Kat knew better to just up and leave because again JJ doesn't really care for her, so she just kept her distance while he talked to Chad. So JJ is offering his, empathy. He said he's sorry for what happened to his brother. And I'm saying, no, you're not. But I guess you have to be professional with, the victims' people, right? So anyways, he said, do you know anything that happened? I get it that you were the first to see him at the mansion. So he said, yeah, I was the first to see him because we were there to just talk about his piece on the article. And he said he was mad at me and sent a voice note telling me how he felt, but again I have to be impartial whether or not it's my family. You know how that goes. So it is what it is with that, right? I just was coming over there to talk to him. So when I came in and saw him there, I just called the ambulance. I really don't know what happened. So it just brings back memories because that's when I also found Abigail lying there, after getting shot. So it's not really pleasant for me. And JJ is understanding of that. He's sorry about that. He said that if you hear anything else, I know you're going through a horrible time, but if you think of anything else, just let me know, right? I'm going over to the mansion to, do more investigation. So also in today's episode, we find out that this is Ava's last airing date. I mean, the actress did announce it on Instagram, and it wasn't an April Fool's joke or anything, but it seems as if she's leaving for good, right, at this time. So this is her last airing date, and she was just getting her stuff together. We saw her on yesterday's episode with the gun going over to the mayor mansion. Don't know if she really was the one who pulled the trigger. I don't believe it either. I think it's somebody unsuspected. But anyways, she came back, get her things, and Kate was there. And Kate was also somewhere off the square. She had the gun too because she just got a call from Rex that he was in a hit and run accident, and she's feel that it has EJ written all over. She talked to Roman about it, and she's feeling like if he had anything to do with it, she will just enact her revenge. So she had a gun as well. She came back over. So she ran into Ava. Ava is telling her that she's leaving. There's nothing more for her. She's like, what about Bray? So she said, we broke up. It was just too much. And, not a Christian ritual, getting away from a murder. It's not my decision, but what am I going to do? And she's like, an EJ too. And he says, yeah, we mustn't forget EJ, right? So, anyways, she had a flashback of her and EJ talking, and she had the gun and everything, and her going over there. But she just said that nothing is there. It's in for her trip. And when they're in I guess Japan, was it China? Yeah. So she's going over there to spend time with them. There's nothing here. She's just ready for a new start. So Roman came in, and she also told Roman, and she thanks him for letting her stay there, being so hospitable towards her and everything. And he said, even though we had a rough start, I'm glad to have had you here. You're a great tenant. So she gave him the key, and he wished her the best, and he said to tell Trip and Wendy hello and all that, right? She thanks Kate, and she said that you guys make each other happy, and I'm happy to see that. And they wish her well, right? So she disposed of the gun, and that was it with her. But I'm definitely gonna miss Ava on here because I thought she was really a great character. I really liked her when she was a mafia princess, not this melodrama version. But anyways, that's my take on that. So Chanel and Paulina, they're having a little talk. Chanel's worried about Johnny because she hasn't heard back from him. She hasn't gotten a response from her texts to him or calls. And she's worried, even that he's been through a lot. And she know that he was with Roman. And Paulina said maybe he's just spending a lot of time with his grandpa, kicking back a little bit. Just give him some time. And she said, he hasn't been himself. He doesn't know who he is. He feels like he wasn't meant to be here, and just learning all this truth about his father and the people that kept it from him. He's just really angry right now, and I don't know what to do. I feel helpless. So Bonnie said, it's not your fault. You have a lot going on too. And she said, I didn't even get time to process all that, this loss. And I'm saying, this was not even meant to be, it just wasn't meant to be, right? It is what it is. And they know they're talking about EJ and talking about EJ. Regardless, you'd have to flip over backwards to please Mrs. Choi. So even if EJ was out of the picture, something else would have come up, right? It's just not meant to be. And she's saying that Johnny said that he was dead to him, because she did tell Paulina that she talked to EJ and she gave him the riot act, and she heard that Paulina gave him the riot act. And she's saying, I wish that too. Maybe EJ was out of her lives, we would be okay. And Paulina seconds that. And Paulina had this weird look on her face because she had a flashback of her talking to EJ. And I'm feeling like she could be a suspect too, because she was threatening EJ to say that if she messed with her children, she not the one to play with and all that. So before she said to Chanel that she has something to tell her, she must know something. But before they could get into it, Johnny comes in, right? So Chanel asks him where he has been, and he said that he was with his grandpa, for a little while. So she said, where do you go otherwise? So he said, for a while he was just blank, and she was like, I'm talking to you, and he's like, sorry, I just I got blank for a bit. I did take a walk and it was good and all that. So he's just acting really, I guess, I don't know, nonchalant about everything. just really one tune. I don't know, right? And she's saying, um, before they could really get in the conversation, he gets a call from Chad, and Chad is saying it's about your father. So he's like, what about him? So he said, father's been shot. He's in emergency now at the hospital. So he's like, okay, thanks for letting me know. So he come off the phone, and Chanel's like, what is it? So he said, my father. He didn't even say my father. He said EJ has been shot and he's in the hospital. So Chanel is there. Let me get my coat. Let me walk with you or whatever. And he's like, no need. He got what he deserved. And Johnny walked into the room, and they're just Chanel and Paulina just looking at each other like, oh, okay. I mean, he's that angry, but come on, Johnny, that's still your father. Like, you don't have one ounce of sympathy that he's been shot. I don't know, maybe the empathetic person in me would feel a little bit sorry for him. I do feel a little teeny bit sorry for him, but it's just karma. What goes around comes around. So, Chad and Kat are at the hospital still. I'm waiting for news. Kayla comes out with, as usual, this somber look on her face, as she does with a lot of these cases. And Chad is like, Kayla, what's up? So that's where it cut off. But at this point, guys, like, I wholeheartedly believe that there's somebody else that we're not picking up, unsuspected. I don't think it's Johnny. As much as he's angry with his father, I don't think he got it in him to do it. I don't think it's Ava, and I don't think, as much as Gabby's hot-headed, I don't think it's her either. I'm starting to think maybe Paulina could be added to that list. Don't think it's Kate either. So it's somebody that